This is Whole Lotta Holtz, where we talk about family, adoption, entrepreneurship. Is that how you say entrepreneurship? That's a little tough. And how they all work together. And maybe a few adventure stories of a crazy big family pushing the limits of what the world says is normal. Yep, that's us.
Whole Lotta Holtz.
Whole Lotta Holtz. Get ready, there's a lot more
Are we sure we
coming.
like that name?
I like the name. There's a lot of us.
Well, we're already 8 episodes deep into that, so.
That's why I figure it goes. It goes. All right, so today I'm Rick Holtz, my wife Coleen Holtz. Do I need to introduce you? You want to introduce
I
yourself?
am Coleen Holtz.
We have been married 24 years. We have 11 children.
And one son-in-law.
And we did marry one off, so that's good. And we own Holtz Leather Company, a business that we started in our basement after kind of losing everything. And today we just wanted to kind of talk about what motivates us, what drives us, what our passions are. Not that I'm big in running after passion. I think that sometimes we live in a world where passions are really drive too much of things. And Coleen and I have this conversation a lot where, we're working with our kids trying to talk through passion. We live in a world that's like, follow your passions, whether you're good at them or not, follow them. And we've had some really good conversations with our kids about that. But Coleen and I, we both met originally when we were kids. I was about 6 years old, and there's 6 months between us. Colleen's older, younger by 6 months. Anyways, our families were close as kids. I'm a military brat. My dad was in the Marine Corps, hoorah, and traveled around the world with my dad. Took a lot of pride in being a military brat. My dad got stationed in Huntsville, Alabama in the early 80s, and our families connected at church. And I remember as a kid playing bubblegum in the back of my dad's Chevy truck. He had a little S10 truck back in the 80s, and he had a little camper on the back of it. And this is back in the day when the kids could pile in the back of the pickup truck and drive around with just a camper shell on the back. Actually, you didn't even have to have a camper shell. You can just drive around in the back of your pickup truck. Anyways, Coleen and I were in the back of the pickup truck, and I remember at 6 years old, just playing. I don't know if y'all know the game bubblegum, but everybody puts their hands in, and it's bubblegum in a dish. How many pieces do you wish? And
Okay. You can talk and talk and talk.
That's okay. I'm telling a good story. This is a story about us, our early beginnings.
Oh.
Anyways, from that moment, I at a young age, 6 years old, really kind of enjoyed being around Coleen and their family. We ended up moving away. Dad got stationed in Newport News, Norfolk area. Worked at the weapons station there, and then we went to Okinawa, Japan, and then from there we moved back to Huntsville, Alabama. And at this point I was about 13 years old, and I remember walking into the church. It was our first Sunday back, and Coleen walks across the front of the church, and I remember that moment. I didn't even know who she was at that point. I just saw this beautiful brunette walking across the front of the church, and I remember thinking to myself, like, that's the one. That's the girl.
And I walked over and asked him if he wanted to sit by me, and he said, no, I'll stay with my mom.
My mom?
Yes.
I knew.
Yeah.
Oh, well.
Mm-hmm. So I said, okay, if you want to come sit with me, you can.
She did, and I was young. Didn't really have any girlfriends at that point in my life.
Awkward.
I was really awkward. Thank you, Coleen. But from that moment, I knew I wanted to win her heart, and so we spent the next several years. I spent the next several years really pursuing her and making her my girlfriend, and then eventually we got married. She was 14 and I was 15.
No, he says this story every time.
I do. I say this all the time, and I just love to get a reaction out of you. It's great. But we did get married young, right out of high school. Coleen was 17 and I was 18.
That is the true age.
I took a football scholarship to Kansas and took this barefoot girl from Alabama.
Whoa. Just because I'm from Alabama doesn't mean I'm barefoot, even though I would rather be barefoot.
And we went out to Kansas. I played football there. Did the thing that the world tells you you're supposed to do. Obviously, you're not supposed to get married young. People definitely don't approve of that, and they didn't then either. I remember when we were getting married, we took a lot of heat from people that would tell us we'll never make it. You're too young. You don't know what you're doing. I remember there was a lady that was in the church, and she came over to Coleen's house when we were engaged to get married, and tried to talk Coleen out of it, like the week we were getting married. But we were also so young that I got grounded the week I got married. I don't remember what I did. I probably was. I probably deserved it. I got to get away with a lot, but I guess my mom had enough, and she grounded me the week before I got married. But we followed that mold of what the world tells you to do, and that is you have to go to college, you have to get a degree, you have to find that perfect job. You can only have 2 kids, and we realized as I started going to school and as Coleen and I were developing our relationship, Coleen was very, very much outside of the box from the beginning. I was probably more inside of the box. I was heavily dominated with the mindset of the time, which was athletics. Athletics was everything. I was going to be a professional football player along with every other kid in my high school, and realized real quickly that was not where I was going to go, especially being married. I realized that the box. I think Coleen challenged me a lot about.
Yeah, when we were 16, I said I want to get married, and I want to have a big family, and I want to adopt.
Which was totally foreign to me.
He said, okay.
I think guys say whatever they want at that point, but I did. My heart was right, and I did. I loved Coleen, and I wanted to please her. And anyways, we went to school, and I got about 3 years into college, and I really realized that this was not the world that was for me. I've been an entrepreneur since I was a kid. Coleen can testify to that. I loved business. I was always trying to think up business ideas from the time I was a kid till even now. I'm always trying to think of a new idea or a new strategy or a new product or whatever it is. I love business. And then we both have a heart and a passion that is for kids and it's for business. Things that we both love a lot. But one thing I think that we realized early on is that to not follow the mold of the world. The world is quick to.
You set this far.
Avery's our camera guy, sound guy. He's doing all the stuff in the background. He may interject here and there, and that's great. So we definitely want his input. This, if you haven't noticed, this is our first podcast, so bear with us. And we realized that the world kind of gears you to be a certain way and wants you to be a certain way, and we just realized that being married young, we felt real quickly we weren't fitting that mold very well. And
having a lot of kids definitely puts you out there.
But I think by age 21 or 22.
22, we had 3.
We had 3 kids, 3 girls. I had 3 girls right off. My sister-in-law used to call me a big sissy. He said all I could make was girls. But I loved my girls, and I loved having my girls first because they have been just a wealth of I think a good teacher for me to just, I don't know. Girls are different. They're special. I'm not saying boys aren't, but
That's
girls
good.
are. Girls,
you have a lot of those too?
I do. I now have a lot. We have 6 girls and 5 boys. So it's a pretty good mix. We have 6 biological children, and we adopted 5 about 2 years ago, year and a half ago.
A year and a half now.
Year and a half ago from Costa Rica, a sibling set of 5, and they've been an incredible blessing to our family. And yeah. So what's our purpose in doing this podcast? I would say, really, I think it's about challenging people to think outside the box. I think we live in a world that the world wants to close you in. It wants to frame you inside this box and tell you've got to go to college. You've got to have a 4-year degree. And then once you get that, you better get a master's. You're not going to get a good job. You've got to, we're grooming our children. We're grooming everybody around us to be the same. And it's like, we're not the same. I'm not the same. There are people that are really good at trades. There are people that are really good at entrepreneurship. There are people that are creative. There are people, and what we try to do is groom everybody to be the same. And that's a big reason why we homeschool as well, which is outside of the box of normalcy. You know, everybody wants you to go through the public school system, but we homeschool our kids because we realize that every single one of our children is a little bit different. They learn differently. Their interests are different. And with homeschool, we have the ability to tailor their education. And we can also teach them a lot of our values that we hold dear, which is hard work, discipline. Those are things that are very important to us. I think we're a little old-fashioned in that, maybe. I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, honesty, heritage. And you can really find out what they are interested in, what they love. And like our oldest Madison, she didn't want to go to college, and she's a very disciplined person, so we decided to have her try bookkeeping, and she's now the bookkeeper of the business, and she loves it, and she did great at it.
Yeah, we picked up pretty early on that she was a very disciplined person. Like she got up at the same time every single day. She did very similar things every single day.
And she didn't want to try it either. And we were like, okay, well, what are your ideas? And she didn't really have any ideas. So we were like, just try it. If you don't like it, we'll figure something else out. And she, of course, started it and loved it.
Yeah, and she does the bookkeeping for our company now, and she does a phenomenal job. And so that's a lot of what, you know, homeschooling for our family allows us to do. But we're wanting to be multi-generational and thinking beyond ourselves. So heritage is a very big part of who we are as a family. We're not just raising children to kick them out on the street and say, hey, you've reached 18, now it's time to go and see you. In fact, Coleen and I, we keep a weekly date night, and we went out this past week, and we were sitting at a restaurant, and you know, sometimes you get the people that are behind you that are a little too loud and they talk too much, and that's probably me a lot of times. But anyways, you couldn't help but overhear their conversation. And they were talking about kids, and they were talking about kids in such a destructive and demeaning manner that, you know, he was calling his own daughter, who I don't know how old she was, but calling her like a demon and a devil, and she's so evil and I can't stand her, and da-da-da-da-da. And I was just heartbroken to hear a father talk about his daughter in such a way that he's not thinking beyond the moment that he's in, or the frustration he may be feeling in the moment, which we all have in parenting. We have those frustration moments. But we want to view our children as a heritage of our family, that they are going to carry on to the next generation. And we need to instill values into them that they're not going to get from the world. They're not going to get from peers. They're going to have to get it from us. And those values take time, and they take teaching, and they take hours in the kitchen cooking together, or they take hours outside working together. And so many things are actually, I would say, caught more than taught. It's like you speak it, but then you've got to drive it home with action, with what you do. And anyways, it was disheartening to hear that. And you know, but then it's also the realization that I'm not perfect, and Coleen's not perfect. We make mistakes, and I had a mistake moment yesterday. I was sitting, Levi, they were picking on Levi. He was doing something in the house, and they were picking on him, so I came up right behind him, like got right behind him. He didn't even know I was there until somebody looked at me, and then he took his hand and did one of these things behind him, and man, he hit me in the private spots, and I about rolled on the ground, and I got angry. When I get hurt, I get angry, and that's
It's angry.
I got very angry, and I spat off something to him, and then I went into my room and pouted like a big baby for a little while. And then Coleen, being my amazing wife, came into the room and explained to me that, you know, he didn't mean it, and yada yada. And I had to cool down, and I ended up having to go to my son and apologize and tell him I was sorry and I was wrong, and my reaction was wrong. And that's needed too. Those are those lessons that teach your kids. But in a nutshell, we're hoping that this podcast can really be really what we enjoy, and what I think the world needs to hear right now is encouragement. I think we're in a dark time and in our country, in the world, and I don't mean that in a sinister way, but just that we need some good. We need to hear some good stories, and we need to build each other up. And we hope that this can be a platform for encouraging you, if it's entrepreneurship or family business. Like, we love family business. Family business is something we are really passionate about, and I feel like it's something that we do really well. We're able to involve our kids in the business, in the family business, and they do really well. So we hope that you'll follow along with us. The next episode we're going to go into is going to be talking about how Holtz Leather began, and talk about its infancy, how we learned, and then we want to talk about, if entrepreneurship's your thing, then let's talk about it. And if family's your thing, let's talk about it. If adoption's your thing, let's talk about it, because we've been there, and we'd love to discuss it and give some more insight into it.
We're not perfect, but we work hard and we have fun.
Yeah.